Assalamu alaikum. We're no longer going to call these technical difficulties. We're just going to call it the usual. The usual 3 minutes. You know what? That's our intro. Technical difficulties.
All right, bro. Yeah.
Do you want to get to the actual intro now?
Yeah, I know. I'm waiting on him.
Why you guys? Oh, because I thought it was funny. So I've got all the viewers listening to another episode of the Muslim Mindset. I think this is session 4 or episode 4, where we're going through the book Enjoy Your Life. I think we've up to chapter probably 12 or something along those lines.
They don't have chapter
They
numbers.
don't have numbers.
Yeah.
That's why I'm struggling.
It says topic number 9.
15. I got 15.
You got topic number 15.
With our hosts Ahmed
82.
Rafiq,
Assalamu alaikum.
Mazen Karouche,
Imagine Walaikum Assalamu alaikum. Oh, sorry. Anyway,
Assalamu
imagine I
alaikum.
read the wrong ones.
and Abdul Salam.
Assalamu alaikum. How's everyone going?
I reckon
That'd
you
be
did
pretty
you read the wrong
embarrassing
ones.
if you read the
100%.
wrong ones.
Because this guy's saying topic
Because
15.
you know you are a host.
It's up. I told you
we
with
finished that topic 15, right?
with. So we did all the with topics, Mazen.
Oh, finished. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. It freaked me out. Then tell me we started
Age
at
82.
15. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's right. It was like 61 to 82.
This
Yeah.
week, Mazen's looking fresh.
Am I? I cut my hair today, but wallahi, it was honestly the most refreshing thing I've done. This whole like.
Oh, bro, a fresh
Like-
haircut. It's good for you and everyone around you. Tell me.
No, but I felt
I've been
horrible,
trying to get
like-
him to get a haircut.
But it's
Mazen's
bad, especially
got a
in
bald
the-
spot on the back of his head.
Do I? Yeah.
Can't see it.
You
My
just
sister cut my
exposed
hair,
it.
so blame her.
Oh, did you actually cut
Yeah,
it?
wallah. Ever since Corona
You
started,
cut it for yourself?
I've
That's pretty good.
I've been, huh?
For yourself?
What do you mean?
No, his sister cut it. Oh.
What?
Don't worry, bad joke.
I don't get
Yeah.
it. How much does she pay? Do you pay her?
About $15.
Does your sister actually cut it?
Wallah, she does.
That's
Why
fair.
would you
Wow,
lie?
she's actually good.
I
She's
know.
getting
That's
better.
good.
Bro. This is like her
So-
4th or 5th
You
time.
know,
now.
my brother cuts as well.
But he,
It's everyone's
Ahmed's brothers
family
go
members
full
cut.
bald.
No, because
They go zero.
Last time I went to cut my hair, I'm like, oh, I go 1, like just all round. He's like, oh, you're gonna have to go 0. I'm like, why? He's like, he didn't answer me.
I remember a
He
story.
stopped at the clip.
No, I
remember a
didn't.
story
You
The
did.
reason why,
Yeah.
he had long hair and he always used to part it in the center.
Yeah.
You know what? That's got nothing to do with it.
He used to split in the center. So we done a 1, okay, but then you can see like the Grand Canyon through the top of his head because the hairs just stayed like that.
Listen,
I'm
Ahmed.
like, bro, you gotta go 0. It's not
No,
gonna work.
No,
You
hey,
got-
I remember a story. Ahmed invited all the boys once to his house to get haircuts.
Yeah.
What? No.
I didn't go. A few of the boys went, and I saw them the next day. They all came out bald.
That's the only thing he can do.
I didn't know
The only thing he can do.
You
And he
know
charges
what?
you $50 for it as well.
Not much variety.
I should start a business. Hey, that'd be a good idea.
There's not much
no, but
variety.
for me, when they started closing everything down, I was cutting it myself. And then she walked past, she's like, oh, I'll do it for you. I was a bit skeptical because the last thing you want is to screw up your hair. And then she got the hang of it. So it's sort of
Bro,
like,
it's a good job.
you know, we got the same clippers.
Start a
It's
business.
like, you know, do this on that side, a little bit, and she got a fade going. So,
If you get Adnan to come in with his surveying equipment, he'll line it up for you perfect.
like exact
You get
millimeters.
the perfect blend.
Allahumma barik, tabarakallah.
Let's get straight
Let's
into
right
it now.
it. That was our intro. We had to make up for Adnan's
We
blunder.
stalled a bit. you know.
I didn't. All right, I'll take this one on the chin, boys.
Standard.
You have no choice.
All right, so we were talking. The chapters these weeks were the with chapters, I'd like to call them.
Mhm.
I think the topics were with the poor, with women, with children, with servants, with your opponents, and with animals. Who was going to
Right.
start us off?
I'm Rafiq.
Me? Oh my god. I
With the
think
poor.
I think they were all pretty quite basic, right?
Yeah,
For
I
anyone,
found them like that.
I don't know
as
if anyone read. I don't know if anyone at home is actually reading them with
well.
us.
No, they are.
Do you have?
Husnul
That's
Dhan.
not done.
That's not
Are you
done.
serious?
I'm the Debbie Downer, not you.
You're the Debbie Downer. You do look like a Debbie. Bit of a Karen as well. No, but ultimately they were quite basic, right? With the
Go very
poor.
straight to the point.
Yeah, I think from with the poor, it was ultimately treating others how you want to be treated, right? I think everything, all these chapters were pretty much that in a nutshell, treating others how you want to be treated.
Hmm.
But with the poor one specifically, I find that it's easy as Muslims or non-Muslims alike in general to treat the poor. Think of treating the poor nicely as, you know what, I gave $5. You know what, the guy was asking me for money. Give him 50 cents or whatever, like whatever you know, any change you have in your pocket. But I think a nice form of charity, which is being generous with your time with them and your attitude, because it's easy, you know, like here's the money, go. But if you really want to be that next level, give them a nice smile, have a good conversation, treat them how you would want to be treated ultimately, right? Sometimes even at work, like it makes a patient's day, or even my day, if I have a patient who just talks to me like I'm not his servant, sometimes they treat you like you're nothing. it makes your day. You wanna help that person out even more. That was that whole chapter for me.
Then they say treat someone how they want to be treated.
That's
Isn't that
that's like I think like another level.
Is that the upgraded version of
Is that
the?
the
Is
20?
That's the modern
I've never
Apparently,
heard
the
of that.
2020
I've
version
never
of
heard
treat
of that.
people how you want to be treated is treat people how they want to be treated.
Is this some new feminism stuff, bro?
I don't know.
Come on,
No,
man.
but it's
I don't know.
it's true. Like
It's
I
got to
mean,
be. Yeah, it is a bit of a.
It's got some merit to it. Like ideally, like or the other version that people like you might have heard is like love someone the way they want to be loved, right? Like a lot of people. I'm telling you what people.
I was waiting for that one.
Far out. I'm being straight.
That explains the fresh haircut.
Allah yahdik.
Let the man finish it.
Anyway,
I want to
basically,
know what shape your glasses are, Mason. Are they octagon or they're dodecahedrons?
I've changed them to be honest. To the uncleaning.
How many sides do they have?
Let the man finish his point.
I don't know, bro. I can't count. Anyway, basically the point that I was getting to was you can treat someone the way you want to be treated, but everyone has a different way of wanting to be treated. Like for example, if someone, someone might prefer physical materialistic things, like and not in a bad way, but like I don't know. Let's just assume in a relationship, someone prefers like the wife prefers that you get flowers. Someone else's relationship, the wife just prefers time. Like just because this person got his wife flowers doesn't mean that you go and buy her a car or something like that. Because do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I took that as an example because it's the easiest to tailor. I don't know where Abdul was getting at. I was just expanding on the point. But
Yeah, I guess in the sense that each person has their own needs. Do you know what I mean? You can't assume that your needs are equal to someone else's needs. So therefore, you treat them based off of their needs or their preferences, as opposed to how you think you'd want someone to treat you. I guess
Did you
That's true. I get that
this
in
is
my
the
friends. Like some are, for instance, more social than others.
Yep.
So he's not gonna like say some friends like there's one friend you won't invite out, and he'll get upset. The other one will be like, no, I don't like going out. So depends on how they want to be treated.
Yeah.
I get what you mean, sort of.
did you find a relevance? Like you brought that up in this topic. Like was there something specific to this?
Like with the poor.
Yeah.
What, like specific to the
To
book?
what you were saying,
Yeah.
relative to the book.
I was more so building off of Ahmed's point, but I guess we can apply it to the book in the sense that whether someone is wealthy or someone is poor, that same principle of treat them how they want to be treated should be applied, regardless of social status, wealth, or any of those.
I pulled out the
factors.
opposite of this, complete opposite. Only because I saw certain specific scenarios previously. Is also the opposite. Like I've got someone that's parents are pretty wealthy, and then he just like I see how he hates when people find out, is that your dad? Is your dad's the one with the money? Or people come into basically our gatherings, like we were at an uncle's house, and then the guy's like, everyone knew straight away. It's like, who's this guy's son? And I showed a plate of, no, that's someone else's son, because he hates it because people start treating him differently when they find out that's his dad, and they try to start treating him nicer, and they start softening up because at the end they want to ask him for some cash, or. So that's
who-
the
so
opposite
who-
as well.
hit
Who
him
is
up on
this
the
guy,
side.
bro? Who is this guy?
It's Ahmed Rafiq.
Oh, I wish, bro.
That was
Have you seen what car I'm driving?
They try to shoot their. No, that's your way of being humble. But yeah, on that point, again, what the thing that I took out of this is like why we're specifically singling out, the poor as a thing to like as a topic in treating someone, right? It's because I feel like what I took from it is that the people you treat, the way you treat someone, generally comes from your perspective of that person.
Yep.
Right. And if you're looking at someone who's, like you said, more wealthy, then you're more inclined to treat them with respect or whatever it is. But it shouldn't be that way. From what we're reading, and then also the Quran and Sunnah, it comes down to your humility as well. Like if you're looking down on someone, or you walk straight past someone just because they're poor or they're not,
Or you won't conversate with someone just because you can't gain anything out of them.
That's right. Whereas we know in the hadith from the Prophet ﷺ, we know that the comparison between a black person and a non-black person, an Arab and non-Arab, we have that example where there is no difference except with their faith,
Yeah.
right? And that's the same thing. I feel like that applies here.
Same with the point that Ahmed was making. I think what's so beautiful about what you said in regards to having a conversation with someone who's less fortunate, wealth-wise, right? Having that conversation with them, because that conversation between you and them is purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because there is in that 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes, there's absolutely nothing realistically that you can benefit from them from in a materialistic sense.
Yeah.
But the only benefit that comes out of that is out of the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah, of course.
It also like lifts them, right? Because they can sort of, not that I know, but from what I've seen, like it can make them feel isolated, dehumanized, right? When you do that, you give them time of day. You know, as they say, time is money, right? So you might give them $5, but then you also sit and chat with them for 10 minutes, 5 minutes. That also is like a form of charity, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you might even gain something, like not like materialistic wise, some wisdom, some it might brighten your day, experience, whatever it may be. You know what? Like it's not just people that didn't go to school that are poor or whatever it may be.
Because everyone has something to offer, right?
Yeah, everyone has something to offer. That's right.
Yeah. But it just reminds me, I haven't been on one of them in a while, but the runs that
the homeless runs,
that Brother Dean does, he does them every Saturday or a couple of days during the week. I just remember one of the points that he'd emphasise, and the boys that do it with him regularly emphasise, is although you're given one of these homeless guys or homeless women an apple or a banana or some fruit, whatever it is, right, is that although you're giving that to them, if they're open for it, have a seat with them, have a conversation with them, because that might be the highlight of their day.
Yeah, that's right.
For you, it's just another 5 minutes, but for them, it's someone actually took the time to not just walk past me, but to actually pay me some attention and just value their worth, their existence for that 5 minutes.
True. I had yesterday. I was walking in and some guy started chatting to me, and like I could tell straight away that like he wasn't 100%. Yeah, at work he wasn't 100%. He was like, "Oh, what do you do if someone's parked your car outside the property?" So I was like, "Oh, just call council."
Does he work with you, Yanni?
No, literally just a random guy walking past.
Okay, right.
And then he was like, "Oh yeah, because this guy parked in Martin's spot and this is that," and like he's telling me a story as if I knew, and I could tell he wasn't 100%. And then you could see like his boss yelling at him and like telling me, like signaling, he was behind him signaling me, "Oh, he's not 100%," like, and he was trying to call his worker. I'm like, relax, like, yeah, I'll speak to him 5-10 minutes. And this guy was like so happy. He was telling me about these people that I don't know of, like as if I was to know. And I got upset because like his boss was just like, "Oh no, he's crazy," or just he was yelling at him to come back to work. I'm like, bro, like relax, treat him a bit.
People don't give
normal.
them that, like, it's a common thing. Again, we shouldn't be, that's another point from it, that we shouldn't be differentiating between a bunch of people, right? So like, I know we're talking about the poor, but another example I thought of, a couple of days ago, I was with one of my friends, right? And they work with autistic children, right? And one of them, this was an interesting story. They told me that this kid's 18, okay, that they're working with, and he has a speech lag of 10 seconds. They were telling me it's actually 10 seconds. So if you say something to them, it takes him 10 seconds to take in what you said, process it, and respond back.
Wow.
So you have to sit there and wait for 10 seconds, right? And I was thinking about the concept, and they're like, if you say something to them, subhanAllah, if you're waiting and they don't respond, if you say something else, it resets.
Oh, wow.
Like, if they fumble and then they have to think again. It starts in that clock again.
Yeah.
And again, right, if people just see, like the kid has to apparently carry around a card and give it to people before he starts talking to them because they don't get it, because he knows straight away. But imagine how many people would have come across this kid who is apparently very bright, very polite, good kid, whatever. But just because you talk to him and he just stares at you for a bit because he's thinking, right? And then he's probably treated in a way that is not good with someone else.
Looks at him like, what a weirdo.
Well, imagine how many times he's been interrupted and not allowed to say what he wants. Like, I get frustrated when that happens. Well, he's laughing because he knows how frustrated I get. I'll be like, everyone shut up, I'm saying what I want to say. Like, imagine that, subhanAllah, and how many times he's just been put to the side. But
that's the thing, like, people don't realize, and they might look down upon this kid because he's not as good as we are.
Just different,
but
pretty much, right?
Exactly. It's not something that this kid asked for, number one. And it's even someone who's poor, a lot of the time they didn't ask for that. That's just from the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So you can't really be judging people and then therefore the way you treat them, following on.
If the roles were reversed, like really, like as you guys said, treat them how they would want to be treated. If the roles were reversed, like, alhamdulillah, where we're loved, like, even though we're not sitting here driving AMGs, I don't know if any of you boys have upgraded since I last saw you. But we're still very blessed, you know what I mean? We're still very, very blessed, but if we were in that scenario, you just, as we said,
and you never know when you might be if you'll be in that scenario as well, right?
And you find often with, like, I know, like, social media and like more of the richer side, the more people that are famous, the rich people that are famous for giving back to the poor are always the ones that are like, oh, like I started from nothing, so I'm not gonna forget where I started from, you know. So when I just put you think like, people only think about that when they've experienced that situation, or more likely to think about the other person when they've been in that side or when they've been in those shoes.
Okay, we'll move on to. I think that we've got quite a few chapters,
To burn through, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've got
So
another.
I usually like to just wrap up with the last line. So the line from that topic was, perhaps just a smile at a poor man would raise you in the rank, in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So similar to what Abdul was saying.
I mean, a smile is sadaqah, right? So there's actually one of the mashayikh here at Belmore. I always see him smiling. I'm like, man, it's actually amazing. He's always smiling. And I'm like, it just brightens up your day when you see him, just because you mentioned that point. Like, it just brightens up your day when you see him, because he's always got a cheerful face on. You know, you might be asking him about something, whatever it may be, you might be upset, but he's got a nice smile to his face, and it's contagious. It's actually contagious. So yeah, moving on to with women.
I can't talk about this topic, so you guys.
Bro, you're married. You and Abdul are married, so we'll leave the ball on your court. Yeah, that's it.
I said I can't do it because I'm bad with this topic. I'm bad with this.
Are you?
How'd you get married, bro?
I know. How did you get married?
I just asked my mate. He's like, "When are you gonna get married?" I'm like, "Find me someone," and he did.
And now you're there.
What a
So
good
balls
mate.
in your court.
So Abdul, you seem to be like the most wise.
Abdul's the romantic
I
one.
reckon I'm
Is
the
it
don with
romantic?
romance.
Yeah. Tell us,
My
bro.
wife will disagree on that. What do we say?
I've got some notes.
Yeah. Do you want to go through your notes first? Or we can do it
Ahmed's
off
got
them?
essays.
Oh, bro, you know I've been waiting my whole life for this. No, I'm joking. But I had, and we all know the hadith, and it was mentioned in the book.
Yeah.
خيركم خيركم لأهلي وأنا خيركم لأهلي. Prophet ﷺ said, the best of you are those that are best to their families, and I'm the best to my family. And in another tafsir, I remember, the best of you are those that are best to their wives, and I'm the best to my wives. So he specifically, there's a specific hadith in the treatment of wives and wives in general, right? I think as guys in general, they can generally have a double standard, forget about the wife and put them to the side, and the boys and everything else, and it becomes very, very.
From my experience on that point, I think it is, you just become lazy because you just work the whole day and come back home, and then you sit down, and because you in your head you've seen that you've worked, you work, you're like, I sit down and do nothing, but you forget that she was working as well, and then she's still working after. So that's that, to remind yourself, I think, would be both that you've both been working the whole day, so half the load, instead of her working 4 hours, split into two, and you guys are both happy.
It ties in a bit to the previous point.
What are we talking about? Chores here?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because you get, everyone's like, I don't do anything, I don't do the dishes. Or Ahmed was laughing at me last time for doing the dishes.
But this guy's the worst.
I actually don't do the dishes, but
He
it's the one
invite.
thing I can't do.
Because it's the easiest thing, that's why you do
actually
it.
one of the
I can't
things
do
I
it.
would
What do you
not
mean?
do, bro. Like,
You never
at
do
home.
the dishes at your house. Whenever I come over,
the thing is, I only invite him to my house with the boys because I know he cleans up after himself. So I sit down and I
Bro,
go to
I
the bathroom,
clean-
I do everything, come
I-
back to the house, it's clean. I'm like,
I
hectic.
clean up after you because I'm like, this is
not gonna
before
do it himself.
this is before he was married. Even after he's married, I'm like, bro, the bloke, his mum's gonna come home or his wife's gonna come home, and it's gonna be like
I
a
played the
pigsty.
I play the sympathy game with him.
Oh, this guy.
And again, to clean my house.
I'll give it to Ahmed, but I do remember before you were married, I think we were at your house, and then everything's done, and Ahmed will be in the kitchen doing the dishes.
He was
or
probably
whatever.
just waiting for someone to
do
say,
not-
"Hey, by the way, we have a wife."
did
That never happened.
Did I say
That's what he's waiting for the whole time.
these
eh?
things are recorded? These are gonna set a standard, bro. This is not happening.
Ahmed did the dishes, even though there was a dishwasher as well.
Yeah. He's never used a dishwasher. Too expensive.
No, but like
I
Abdul,
don't
that's
have any
that's actually one of the
I'm
things,
joking.
bro. Wallah, I've said to my mum, I'm like, get me to do any chore around the house, but not the dishes. Like, that's one of the things that
It's
I
the
think.
easiest.
I
Do you want to do a
disagree, man.
ghassil?
Bro, I actually don't. Wallah, I'll do the ghasil, but not
That's
the
actually easy.
Hanging up the clothes is easier than doing the dishes.
What do you
hanging,
mean?
folding the
There's just something about
clothes.
doing the dishes.
Putting my shoes on and going outside
Vacuuming
to
the
hang it up,
floor.
bro, that's too much.
100%, bro. I'll clean the house. You know that, like, I'll get rid of everything. Wallah, it'll be like a gallery.
Hey,
spring cleaning.
But
Why this topic become about cleaning, man? We're talking about with women.
Oh, yes, didn't. No, so we're saying splitting the load. So women aren't all about cleaning, so we got to
Okay, yeah.
involve ourselves in that
That's
as
why I
well.
was just trying to make sure.
oh
you
yeah,
know.
I was saying that it ties in with the previous point about seeing both sides of the picture, right? Because
Yeah.
if you, like what you just said, it happens when people don't, like, for example, we're talking about women, right? The male doesn't see both sides of the picture, similar to the previous example where you don't actually see things from the side of the poor person who you see is like, lesser than you. And a lot of the time, a lot of men do see the women, unfortunately, in relationships, even in their families, whether it's their mothers or their sisters or daughters, whatever, they do see them as lesser and can lead to them being treated in that way.
That's true, because it's not specifically about wives in this case, right?
Yeah.
It's with women, so that extends to your
a
mum,
lot of
to your
men with their
to your
sisters
sister.
are very
to your sister. Like they're different. They're just made differently, much more emotional. They need a bit more attention, affection. You can be that good older or younger brother that's there for your sister and support her whenever she's down and out or whatever it may be.
Just sorry to cut you off, but just with that emotional side of things, I remember when I was getting married, a lot of people tend to emphasize on, or you tell someone you're getting married, or you're talking to someone about marriage, whatever, they emphasize and they discussed about the financial side of things, opening up a house side of things. That's a lot of these days. That's a lot of the focus, right? Yeah. But then as I got further and further into the early days of my marriage, I realized that financial, or that taking care of things from a financial standpoint, is actually the easy part of the marriage. What a lot of people don't emphasize on, sadly, is that the emotional intelligence that it takes to kind of be married to someone, because women are built a bit differently to us, right? In the sense that they're a bit emotionally, they're a bit more fine-tuned than us. Do you know what I mean? For us, when you're with the,
I like that
I love how
word.
political this guy is.
I'm trying to use the right words.
I know, yeah. Because it's like it's recorded.
That's
it's live.
stepping on anyone's toes.
To my sister and to my wife, I'm
You're
emotionless. So like the fine tune, I think I agree with that.
Yeah. So they often they're a bit more emotional.
No, I just
Why
I like the word. That's
emotionless.
But they're a bit more emotionally fine-tuned, so they require that emotional intelligence to come from whether that's your sister or your wife.
I think they call it EQ. They have like IQ, EQ, emotional quotient.
There you go.
There's like a level to it.
Yeah.
Even when I was studying, like to get into optometry, we had to do. You done it with me, UMAT, right?
Yeah.
And there's actually a specific section all about like your emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Like a third of the
they
exam
give you scenarios, right?
Scenarios, and you got to read the person's emotions and know how to respond and identify what their emotion is at whenever they say a certain phrase. It was a bit of tahanak, if you ask me. That whole UMAT thing was, but
just another money scam, right?
No, but it is important. No, there's truth to it, but that stuff was hard. Like, it's like this person, you read this passage and then it's like, this person is overjoyed, this person is happy, this person is not upset,
slightly overjoyed.
Yes, but it's like they're all the same thing to me. But
yes, it's a lot harder than doing a maths question where it's like 1 + 1. There's always like with maths, there's always an answer, like a
that's
correct
us.
answer.
That's guys.
Yeah.
Food, eat. Money, work. That's all it is.
Whether we missed that whole grey area in between.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean?
It's two-worded thing.
Yeah, some would call it the fun part, right? The ride.
Is it the fun part in between?
Some would call it that. I don't know, the ride, but we missed that ride. We just get straight to the end.
There was actually a good story in that chapter, which was regarding the women and honor. The one that they mentioned with the Jew, where she was dishonored in the marketplace.
Yeah,
I found that story actually quite interesting. What I took from that here, I wrote here. I said men should honor and defend their women. A ghira should be present. That Sahaba killed the people that assaulted the Sahabiya, because he wasn't related to her in any way, but because she's from us, she's our women, and they tried to assault her because they pinned her clothes to something and she was exposed. And that's how we should be as men, as guys in general, like with our women across the board, whether they're our relatives or not. We should always be at the forefront in defending and protecting their honor whenever they sit there and insult our sisters or make them feel uncomfortable in any scenario. We have to be there in protecting and upholding their their honor. And that's what the Sahaba done, and he died as a result of it. And there was a war that resulted because of that. The Jews broke their pact, so the Prophet ﷺ waged war with them and kicked them all out of the region, which was amazing, all for the sake of defending one of the Sahabiya's honor.
So you find that with social media as well, whenever a Muslim sister is the lights on one of a Muslim sister because of an action she did, or if someone's recording something, sadly a lot of the time it's us Muslims that are sharing the video or passing it on to friends, to relatives,
Yeah.
kind of broadcasting it. It should be the other way around.
Instead of covering up.
If somebody is, exposing your Muslim, this can go either way, right? Muslim sister, brother, anyone.
Yeah.
Someone's exposing their faults. Our first reaction shouldn't be, "Oh, cool video. Let me forward it on to the 650 people on my Facebook."
And expose the
Facebook
sister
feed
even
and
more.
expose them,
And then they
make
share it
even
to
worse.
another-
Exactly.
It's a shame. It's a shame, but that's the actual reality of our situation.
And that's the thing. It comes down to what you were saying, Ahmed. That like that, wanting to uphold their honor, right? If that was, for example, one of your own sisters or your mother, right, or your wife. Imagine, let's say, for example, that happened in the street. Like, it's easy for someone to get more defensive over their wife, right? Like, some guy saw that and there was a photo of it, and then that started getting shared around. Then what's your reaction, right? When you see your wife's photo or whatever happened there going around, and then vice versa, someone that's really close to you, you saw that going around, you can't really stop that.
Yeah.
Whereas, we're playing a part in the picture when it's someone else that doesn't mean so much to us, whereas they should mean equally as much to us because, they're your Muslim sister, brother, whatever.
As guys, we generally have that fitrah of we're trying to defend and uphold the honor. Like, if you remember back in school, what was the cause of most of the fights? Someone swore about this guy's mum, or someone swore about this guy's sister. Wasn't that the case?
I don't know about you, bro.
What do you mean?
I don't
Public
know.
schools? That was always the case. He swore at my mum, so
Your
I
mum,
punched
your
him.
dad, huh?
Yeah, whatever. That's all it was. So he'd get in a fight, all because someone dishonored a female family member. They didn't care as much if it was a male family member, but like that's how we should be in general. I'm not saying go start a punch on, but in all aspects of life, you gotta protect them.
Yeah,
and they'll protect you.
Yeah. One of the last points in that chapter, the last point actually.
Adnan's been very quiet, by the way.
Actually, I have this question for Adnan.
He said he wasn't going to talk.
I actually want to ask.
I don't lie, bro.
But on a serious note, I was going to ask this question to Adnan anyway. So the last point, it says a woman can be patient with her husband's poverty, unattractiveness, and busy schedule, but she cannot
Why'd
be
you?
patient with his rude behavior. I want to ask it to him because he's the.
Why'd you?
Are you calling me poor?
Why'd you say unattractive? Why'd you say unattractive in capital letters, bro?
Hang on. The reason I was asking this question isn't because you fit any of these categories. All right. The reason
It's because you fit all of them.
it's because they all apply to you. No. the real reason.
You know what? I'm gonna mute all you boys.
The real reason I was asking the question was because you're the only one married here or living outside the house of his wife.
I'm gonna throw
Aren't
the
you
Uno
married?
reverse
Yeah,
card at
I'm
you.
not going to ask myself the question.
Uno.
I'm gonna Uno reverse this to you, bro.
I'm not going to ask myself the question.
Where's the Uno reverse? I wanna pull it up.
But what I want to ask is, how do you, because, with work and with, you bump into people, certain people tick you off. You got, you have certain scenarios and it kind of builds up with a lot of people until you get home, and then the wife or the mother or the sister, whoever's at home, gets the short end of the straw, right? Because it's just a build up of whatever it is over the day, over the week. And then you end up, telling off your wife, your mum. A lot that happens to a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
How do you manage that sort of thing? Even though you're going through a lot of things outside of the house with work, etc. How do you come home and try to block everything or block that side of your life out to spend some quality time with your wife?
So you guys like stuffs?
It goes back to the chapter. Who kicked
He
the
really
cat?
didn't want to talk today.
You know what he does? He calls me right before he gets home. Ahmed, you're he bags me out. Relax and goes into the house.
Nah, I don't know if I should explain myself. I'm not really explaining myself. I am. Well, it's not ironically. Awkwardly, I go quiet when I'm upset.
Yeah.
So that's what I've got to fix up. Because when I'm upset in a mood, I don't go aggro and scream or yell. I just stay quiet.
Yeah.
Which is also a bad characteristic, and women don't like that. So I think honestly, is just like what I've been noticing is just like leave work at work, leave things to that, or just deal with it. Like I think Ahmed does it quite well. Is if he's got a problem, he'll just straight up tell you. And I think that's the best way. Instead of letting
I message Adnan every day, bro.
He does.
Problem with
or instead of letting things linger on and causing scenarios and letting it build up and tension build up, is to just either sort it out or just leave it there. And like when you close the door, when you leave someone's house and you're angry or upset, khalas, leave that there and there. Maybe if you need some time, you need half an hour just to breathe or get it off your mind. All right, but leave things. It's like
the chapter Who Kicked the Cat, right?
we're coming to that yet.
Like full circle, right?
Yeah.
Like,
The domino effect, yeah.
yeah, the domino effect. This person tells him Adnan off at work. Someone a worker tells off. Adnan goes home, tells off his wife, whatever. His wife
Tells off the kid.
kids, like,
I feel like
and then
You
the
know,
cat
like-
gets kicked.
No, because I think what in your scenario, someone was telling me the other week when I was in the car was like his wife's family's having family drama, and then for what he saw his wife coming home and she was upset.
Yeah.
He's like, don't bring in your drama to my house, and I'm being like blunt. And then I was thinking about that like the opposite way, like I should also do that and not bring in my drama and give my problems to her, or like put all the baggage on her. You know, because I wouldn't definitely not want it the other way at all. Like, leave your family drama to yourself. Like, I've got nothing to do with it. So I
No,
think just-
I don't think it's the other
where do
way.
you draw the line,
You
you know?
should be the comforter. Like, maybe she can't deal with it. Like, not everyone can bear the whole burden by themselves, right? Sometimes you build up all this,
no, there's a difference between
so you console.
no, not consoling. How about like exploding and like on
yeah.
edge?
that's
You know,
that's what I'm saying. We're
don't
drawing
be
the
on
line.
edge, and then one thing
Yeah.
ticks off, and then khalas, you know, because
Yeah, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
but
haven't done
there's a
much.
difference between coming home and talking about something, or talking about something that happened, and then coming home and blowing up.
yeah, of course, that's
They're
what we're
two
talking
different
about.
scenarios, you know.
I'm sure we've all been in a household where there's like, you could, you know what they say, you
Cut
can
the tension with a knife.
yeah, cut the air with the knife, cut the tension with a knife,
Tension.
tension with a knife, right?
Yeah.
But like, it's not comfortable for anyone because you know someone's about to blow up soon, so best not to do that at all.
I throw the reverse card back at you, Abdul, to put you on a spot now, and I'm gonna put your mic on double loudness.
He's increasing it. So you're asking the same
He's
question.
actually now
Yeah.
understanding.
So now
how to
they can
use the
hear you.
thing.
They can hear you sweating.
The sweat's dripping down my forehead. So what do you want to know? Like,
Or if you want, just give
How
me
do
the-
you deal
So you
with
gotta
being
ask me the
unattractive?
questions.
give me the signal and I'll change chapters if you want, like swiftly.
just go with children. Go on.
Yeah.
with children.
So you got kids?
So it's funny when you ask someone the question, like, you don't expect it back. But it's something that I've obviously been working on as well. Like, it's not that easy for everyone, right? But like I said, I think there's a difference between, I'm like you. I don't really blow up. I'm also keep to
Bottle
myself.
things.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a common guy thing, right? Because I do it as well, and I read a book by Sheikh Yasser Qadi actually, and in that book, he literally showed both sides of the spectrum. Now, like obviously this is general for the genders,
Yeah.
but it was like, what do you do when you have the male who doesn't want to talk about anything, like once he's about to blow up, he just wants to be quiet, and the woman who wants to talk about it now.
Yeah.
And he's like, she wants it now, and he wants never. Like, I don't want to talk
He
about
wants
it.
never.
So what do you do in that situation? Like, I was just bringing that up because it reminded me.
Now
Like,
plus never divided by 2 is later.
Hey, that's
Later is actually a pretty
That's
good
actually
middle
a-
line.
you know what?
Come
you,
on, bro.
You
Not
can like
bad,
quote
not
that.
bad.
Mystic Mac.
Get that tatted on your chest or something.
To your point, I guess it's a common thing then. But like, I'm like Adnan, where keep it to myself, sort of thing. Don't talk to me about it. Don't talk to me about it now. Yeah, that's how I am. I think over time we kind of developed like a middle line where it's like,
me an hour.
she knows I need that half an hour, that hour,
Yeah, same thing.
and then we can talk about it later, sort of thing. There's no.
I need to go Saturday night with the boys, and Sunday we can talk about
Maybe
it.
use it as leverage, take a whole week off. But like,
he's take annual leave
yeah.
from his marriage.
Annual leave.
but early on, it'd be like because you gotta take the time to kind of understand each other, get to know each other a bit more. But early on, it'd be like, I'd stay quiet, and she's thinking that it's a problem with her that I've got, whatever
you
it
don't
is.
want to say.
Yeah, and I don't want to talk about it because it's about her, whatever. And then she might get upset now because she thinks it gets a bit.
upset at her.
It might get a bit ugly. But now it's at a point where she understands that might need that half an hour, 1 hour, and then everything's back to normal, if you want to call it that. And then we can talk about it and enjoy the rest of the night. So I guess it just takes time for the two parties to kind of understand each other, and get to know each other a bit more, so you can understand your partner's tendencies the same way they'll understand your tendencies, I guess. But it's something that I guess everyone can agree
Develop over
you
time.
got to continue to develop.
I feel
over
like what
time.
you're getting at is like an underlying communication and understanding.
Yeah.
Right. Because
Communication 110%.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you're just sitting there saying, "No, I don't want to talk about it," and then that's it.
Yep.
Right, she's got no idea. Like you said, she's probably thinking a million things. Her mind's
100%.
racing a million miles an hour, it could be this. Oh, did I say this last week on Friday, 3 p.m. or whatever? You know, like exactly that.
That was Adnan shit back in the days.
But like you got all of that going, and if you don't,
I'm gonna
like,
mute you soon.
Just put the bloke on mute,
I
man.
know, legit.
like I feel like even at work, right? If I
Yeah.
like I get a manager that comes and says this, and then this person says that, and whatever, and it just starts piling up,
Chinese whispers.
and then
Oh, you're saying it piles up.
like yeah, this person
yeah,
says
yeah.
something, whatever, and then you're about to explode at work. If I know that I'm about to speak to a manager, like I'll text
You ain't
him.
gonna explode anymore.
No, like I'll actually message him. I'll be like, listen, I'm about to explode. Don't take it personally. So, I've actually done that once before because it was a very crazy day and everyone was like on heat, right? So everyone was losing it. It was like coming from
I don't think
not-
that's
not-
the right way.
on fire.
Oh, fuck.
Fire out.
Bro, I gotta be
I'll let you
delaying a lot of these today, man. You guys are kidding me. I got like a.
Wrong
Go,
choice
go.
of words.
get your minds out of the gutter. Heat, fire, same. You know what I mean? Anyway, Allah yahdina jamia.
Yeah, like continue, bro.
So yeah, it's,
don't get the
it's
joke.
basically like everyone's copping it, so they
Yeah.
understand, right? But if I didn't say that and I just started blowing up at that manager,
Mm.
you know, it's gonna fall back on my head, and it's the last thing you want.
Khair. I think that wraps up with women,
With
Probably a
Children.
good transition into the next chapter.
with children, huh?
What do
children.
women bring?
Because if women take patience, I think children take 100 times more patience.
Oh yeah, that's. Well, I don't know. I don't have kids.
Who knows,
but,
bro?
like I do with kids
But
actually.
you have a lot of like you've gone to, like for example was it foster kids or for example?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's
How-
true. My
are they
family's
young,
foster.
but-
Yeah, we've had a lot of foster kids.
Oh, those
like-
are little kids. Like it's more like they
I've
show
had
you
the
patience
range.
over crying.
What's your
but I've
range?
had
when
a
you
lot
say
of
children.
range. But we've had like newborns at our house,
Right.
all the way up to like 12-year-olds at our house.
Mm.
Not for like extended periods of time, but they are. It's not easy. You need to be patient. You need to
Yeah.
be soft-hearted and kind, and just sit there and give them time. Ultimately, I think that's what everyone needs. Just time. Like you just got to give them some time of day. If you don't give them any time of day, have a conversation with them, do what they're doing. You know, like you know what I mean. Then it's not gonna be very healthy for the relationship whatsoever. Like with with the kids I teach, I have a class of students. Literally, all it takes for me to win them over is have a good chat about what they're doing at school and whatever. Oh, what happened at school? Oh, so there was a punch on and this and that. I'm like, oh, and then you joke around with them. Go down to their level, like, oh, did you win? Did you smash him? Whatever. Like, obviously, later tell him that that's not what we do, whatever it may be. But
Eggs him on first, and then he's like, by the way,
nah.
That's
I'm
Ahmed's
giving you like
character.
I'm giving you like a quick example. Obviously,
He's got a point that kids like that
Yeah.
type of
They
thing.
love that
Like,
stuff.
because
They love that
they see
stuff.
you as an adult. So as
Mm.
soon as you come down to that level, then like, oh,
yeah,
that barrier isn't
Yeah.
there.
that's what it
as
is.
much.
Like these kids that I have is like, you know, I have students from 11 years to about 16 years old, and from different walks of life. I have some that don't even believe in Allah, others that are like praying 5 times a day, and they're all in the same class. So you got to sit there and give them each a time of day and relate to each one of them. One of them is like a gamer; he's all into his gaming, so I got to sit there and talk to him about Twitch streaming and this and that, and how good he is at Fortnite. And the other one's into his gym, so I'll let him verse me in arm wrestle. 16-year-old freaking smash me in arm wrestle.
Yeah, I was about to say you better tell the truth.
I'm always surprised.
It was the only student in my class that beat me, bro. Let's get out of here. But this guy's a tank. Smash all these.
Allah barik, tabarak
Yeah,
Allah.
Allah barik indeed. But that just leads them loving you, right? And then they're willing to open up to you and tell you everything about their issues and whatever it may be. Like I had one of the parents come to me in class the other day, and she just opened up to me. She's like, "Oh, my son's he's jigging and he's getting into a lot of trouble. He's like he hates all these teachers, doesn't really connect. His uncles aren't in the they don't really help him around out much, and his dad's a bit disconnected. He's like she said he loves you. Can you just pick him up on the weekend and take him out? Just take him for a coffee or when you're doing your chores or like you know your run around, your errands."
Mm.
So all it is to win this kid over and even his parents over was just going down to that level, relating to him, and then after there's that relationship, you can guide him however you want, right?
Yeah, I agree, 110%.
You do with the
I think
youth
like
work as well.
like even with the teachers that we remember, it was the ones that spoke to us that we were normal and like, because me personally, I remember a lot of times, like I know I pick up on it, like if I'm talking a lot, people and I can kind of tell when people just want me to finish and like be quiet, or when a person's actually listening and like actually responds to like 3-4 points that I said, and I'm like, oh, hang on, like this guy that's 30 years old is listening to me, and I'm 15. You know, I'm just like a school kid, and that really opened up my eyes.
Yeah, that was me as well. Like I have vivid memories of like family friends who was like, he's like about 10 years older than me. I'm literally like 7 years old. He's 17. He's not an adult,
Yeah.
but I'm a child compared to him, right? And because he used to like actually pick me up, throw me around, and like have a laugh, I see him in like such a high, you know, status still to this day.
Mm.
And now we're both adults, and still to this day, like I have a mahabba for him. And even in the book they had that story, right, with that student. He asked, I can't remember what the question was,
Bring it up roughly. Give me some.
about the prayer. I think he said the difference between us and what the importance of prayer. He said it differentiates us from the kuffar, I think.
Yeah.
That's what the student answered. And so the sheikh gave him his watch.
Yes.
Sheikh
Yes.
gave
Yeah.
me-
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
Right.
10 years,
Later,
15 years
the
down the
kids
line, he's
remembered.
now a teacher, and the sheikh has actually forgotten about him. But he's like, oh, you remember you asked me that question, you gave me a watch.
Yeah.
It's imprinted in his mind indefinitely.
Of course.
And Allah Alam, maybe it affected him going down the route of searching for knowledge and becoming a teacher
Yeah,
himself.
so that's
a
what it
Islamic
says here.
teacher.
So he goes, this incident encouraged the child to study more eagerly and memorize the Quran.
Yeah, subhanAllah. Like just by dealing with him, and
Yeah.
he gifted him a watch.
Mm.
And he said literally the watch wasn't worth much at
Mm.
all. It's just like his standard watch.
Yeah.
I gifted it to him, and that's it. It made his day, his week, his month, his year, maybe the rest of his
'Cause
life.
Mm.
Even the topic here, as I highlighted with kids, like kids incidents are carved into kids' minds very easily. You know, whatever it is. Like I remember when I was younger, and that's why I kind of reinforced in my head if I do something wrong to apologize. Was when an adult did something wrong to me, and I knew, because as kids you're, I'm not gonna say we're oppressed, but a lot of the times like no one really hears you. Oh, he's a kid. He did this, or he whatever knocked this vase over, and you whatever it wasn't really your fault, accident and stuff like that. And when an adult actually apologized to me and said, "Sorry, I was wrong. I blamed you wrong," and I was like, "Wow, what the like literally probably the happiest day of my life. I've never forgotten it." And I don't know why. It was just literally that, like, okay, someone acknowledged me. I wasn't lying, and they said, "Oh no, they were wrong. They made a mistake." You know, and
You
I
can
think-
probably remember, I don't know how you guys were with your dad's friends. Like when my dad would take me everywhere with him when we were younger. His friends now till this day, the ones that gave me time of day when I was a kid, are like top tier people in my eyes. Still,
100%.
top tier people in my
You
eyes.
tend to underestimate the effect that you have on a child
Yeah.
with just one thing. It's crazy. Like people that you don't speak to for such a long time, but you still have that memory. Like even like, you know, one of my cousins, he's a lot older than I am, but you know, I haven't seen him in ages because like, you know, busy lifestyle, schedule, whatever. But I still remember like years ago when I don't even know how old I was probably heaps young, during Ramadan, right? He invited me over for a sleepover to go and get manoush at, like, I still remember it was like 1, 2, 3 a.m. And it's just a memory for me. That's like one of the only Ramadans I remember as a kid, like the suhoor period. And I was like, oh, that was so exciting. And every year I was like, oh, I want to go back. It never happened because, like, you know, he ended up getting married and whatever. But it's you still think about it. And I don't know how many years, it could have been more than 10 years ago. One incident, more than not even 5 hours.
Him shouting you like that $3 manoush, bro. You're like, that was the best manoush of my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, you're buzzing for 3 years after.
Yeah, bro.
100%.
Like seriously, but it's true.
And I used to talk about it always. And I'd be like, oh, my cousin did that, you know, like, oh, my
Yeah.
cousin, you know. So
Yeah.
you feel
Yeah.
like there's someone that actually cares.
That's how
Especially
kids
when-
are, though, right? Like kids
Yeah.
are always speaking about that older person who.
Yeah.
That's how they come across as like cool to their
exactly.
peers. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, oh, hang out with this guy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
This guy calls me dad, or
Adnan was telling me last time he bumped into, like, with the youth work that he does, he bumped into one of the kids out in public, and he was like dabbing him up, hugs, kisses, like, and he's, you know, he puff out his chest because, like, look, you know, I know this older guy who's like 10 years older than me, and
We're mates.
in public, yeah.
Yeah,
Remember
got
you were
mates,
telling me
yeah.
that?
Yeah. I was trying to remember his name, and I was trying to like suss out, and I didn't say anything. I'm like,
Oh, yeah,
how you doing, bro? How you
Mahmoud
doing,
Mohammed
bro?
Ahmed, Adam, he's going through the list in his head. But you made that, you know, that kid's
connection,
day,
yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Even so, we got to do that now. Now we're the adult.
The roles reversed.
So we got to do that now. I got to do with my nephew, other kids around me, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Kids at the mosque. Like, I don't know if you guys, like I said, my dad would take me everywhere with him. There's mashayikh that I was around when I was a young kid. Okay, till this day, they're like, even though I don't go to their classes or anything like that. Like, they're up there for me. When I see them, they're like my uncle. You know, I'll kiss their hand. Like, because they actually used to play with me when I was at the mosque. Like, when do you get that now?
Yeah.
Obviously,
Because no one has time.
yeah.
Even with the whole mosque thing, a lot of the what do you say? So a lot of the kids, the older generation just walks past the kids. Like you see kids at the mosque. A lot of the older generation, if you see, they just walk past them, right? Sometimes all it takes is you grab a kid to the side. Oh, what's your name? How you doing? You know, poke a bit of fun at him, and they'll remember it. They'll probably come to you.
Yeah.
To you the second time around.
Did this
That's
ever?
such a strong memory, inshallah.
This is a funny story. This ever happened to you guys at the mosque when you were a kid? Like, I remember I was praying in one of the rows, and someone came late. An older guy came late, and there was no one to pray in the new row. So he literally lifted me up from my shoulders, put me in the back row, and took my spot.
He took your spot.
He took my spot.
I would have prayed next to you.
I thought you would have prayed next year.
No, he took my spot.
Seriously.
I'll never forget
See,
that.
you never
yeah.
forget that now.
I never. He full lifted. He carried me, put me to the back
How
row.
old were you?
I don't know, man. I was probably like
Old
8,
enough
9.
to remember.
Yeah, old enough to remember. And my memory is bad. So
Full losing out.
he lifted me up, put me in the back row.
I think
he took
that's
my
proof
spot.
that kids never forget because Ahmad's got the hands down a worse memory, and if he's remembered
Still
that
remembers.
from 20 years ago,
Yeah. But we underestimate how much kids pick up.
Yeah, for sure. At work, like, you know, because I'm dealing with adults, kids, everything. Parents come with their kids. Everyone's getting their eyes tested. You have a 5-year-old. Literally, I do this on every kid that I get. Put my hand up for a high five. Boom, they missed. And I sit there.
Guys going back to the
Bro,
childhood memories.
honestly, I entertain them for like 2 minutes, and the parents love it. Like, the parents love it. You're sitting there entertaining this, literally a 6-year-old. They're all just trying to high five your hand, and it takes no effort. And now the kid loves you, and the parents love you. It helps with sales or whatever it may be, but that's not the point. Like,
He's doing it for the money, huh? The sales.
Wallah,
but the money's not going.
We had him. I
The
thought
money is not going.
Mom,
in
I
my
want to buy
pocket.
glasses
You know
from
what?
this guy.
I was like, he's being genuine, but he's doing it for the commission.
No, but
Every high
I
five
get
is
no
5 bucks for
commission.
him. But
anyways, but like,
Anyways.
but I don't get any commission. Get out of my face. But yeah, like across the board, in all mosque, work, family, there's kids everywhere, and you can brighten up everyone's day.
Yeah, there's so much I think we learned from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi
I
wasallam.
was gonna say, I should mention.
Like, I know one of the a trait that I know from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahu a'lam, is that he used to always give kids nicknames.
Yeah.
And that's something I remember from when I was younger. There's this one of my dad's friends. He used to always give my brother, myself, like a nickname,
Measle.
and he'd call you that same. They call you that same nickname every time you see them. It's like with
What
excitement.
was your
it's like-
nickname? You gotta tell us.
Like I say.
Come
You gotta
on,
say,
bro. For the boys.
Anyways, and then you still remember, even if you bump into them like 10, 20 years later, the first thing that'll probably pop into your mind is that, oh, they used to call me this. They used to call my brother Hamza that.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah, that's what I think.
The Prophet ﷺ with that boy, I don't remember what he used to call him, Nufail or something like that. When his bird died,
Oh yeah.
the bird had a nickname, and he used to give the Prophet ﷺ used to give the kids a nickname. His bird died. He was upset. You know.
Yeah, the guy. I think
It's a very nice. It's a very nice phrase in Arabic what the Prophet ﷺ said.
yeah,
I
Abu
just don't-
Umair,
Umair.
Nasar min bil Mughayr or something like that.
yeah, about
It's
his
here,
bird.
I'm just translating, but I know it's Nughayr rhymes with Umair.
Yeah, or something like that. That's right. And
فعل your brother Hamza was telling us.
yeah, that's right. Hamza, I remember, was telling me about the story. But yeah, but the Prophet ﷺ used to do it as well, right?
Yeah.
And even that Jewish boy, when his father passed away, Prophet ﷺ stood. I don't want to get into the hadith, but بالمعنى, the Prophet ﷺ was good with the kids and
Passionate.
with his with his grandsons Hassan and Hussein. He would used to put them on his lap and cover him with his coat. You know, he'd give time of day to the kids, and that's what we got to do. And if you think of it like that, it's an ibadah because you're following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So what's the last point, Mazen?
A child
this
is
chapter?
soft clay that we mold.
Let him go. Let him have his moment.
Yalla then.
He doesn't want to talk anymore.
This is communication. What did we say?
No,
Yeah,
go
go,
on.
Mazen.
You started.
Nah.
Yalla,
So you finish.
then.
A child is soft clay that we mold depending upon how we deal with him/her.
Thanks,
But it's a bit
Mazen.
different to what I
Yeah,
had.
I've got something else.
What do you got?
You can't even
We got the same book.
remember your
No,
fading,
legit.
bro.
Different versions of the book. It says here, our child is like soft clay that we shape according to our treatment of it.
Yeah.
Oh. I wasn't.
Same meaning, right?
Yeah.
Ours is like modern.
He's
version,
the he's
like,
the
it's
yeah he's the
upgraded.
old version. We're 2.0.
What do you mean? I'm the new version, bro.
No,
None of you guys
I'm
have this
pretty sure
book
this is
cover.
the new version.
I've got that. That's the older
Do you have
book.
this book cover?
What's the date of your publication?
The day. I'm not even joking.
Drop it right now.
Where do you get it?
These guys serious, bro.
Where do you get it?
At
the
the
front.
talking about with slaves and servants, bro.
Yeah, with slaves and servants.
You know what? He's right because this is first edition. See,
Guys, come on,
So
bro.
Danny's 2.0.
This is. Oh, you had to pre-order this book.
Is it signed by the author?
Hardened edition, bro.
this is second edition.
No, I think he's got a hardened edition as well.
No, it
Just
is
up on the.
hardcover.
No, not that.
Hardened. You remember,
you
like,
know, I played
cards?
Call of Duty.
Yeah,
the
the
special edition was
Oh.
hardened edition. It came in like a
100%
hard
I did.
case.
I full went and I
That
lined up.
flew
I got it
past
at
my
12
head,
p.m. 12
Me-
p.m.
These guys
no
been
way.
lining
I
up.
probably saw you, bro. I was
These
lining
guys
up as
been
well.
lining up.
Laura Marketplace, EB Games.
Me
back
too.
in the
But
days.
one thing about Mazin, he
That's
lines
not
up for
big
anything
I know, right?
because he just lines up for anything. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
That's it, just for the sake of
He
lining
sees
up.
a line of people, he gets in the back.
Just
of
type in Mez and Karush on Google.
Gets
You'll
to
see
the
him.
back, gets to the front.
Gets to the
100
front.
Are you serious? We take the front only. Explode.
Okay, next thing was with slaves and servants.
Yes, it's probably not much relatable to now. You know what?
No, actually, it is.
I'll tell you why.
I
Because
didn't think of it as slaves. Sorry to cut you off, Adnan.
yeah,
I was thinking of it as with servants or people
Service,
that
yeah?
public services, right?
Yeah.
Like when you go to the restaurant, the waiter,
Mm.
or you go to the doctor, the receptionist, whatever it may be.
even the cleaner, the janitor.
The cleaner, that's right. You know, how do you deal with these people? There's like, I think there's a saying. Do you shake the hand of the cleaner the same way you shake the hand of the CEO? Something like that.
Isn't that a quote Muhammad
Treatment.
Ali says, something like that?
I'm not sure. Like,
Probably.
No,
But
treatment
it
wise,
sounds like something
you,
you'd say.
No,
Treatment
I'll
wise,
you
find
treat
it.
the cleaner the same way you treat a CEO. You know.
Yeah,
yeah, that's right.
No difference in your.
That's right. You
Yeah.
know, just because it comes back to the power balance, right? Like, just because this person is serving you doesn't mean they need to be treated any less. Yeah.
We're repeating the same thing, but like, say, like my old boss or my old company, there used to be a cleaner like 7 a.m. in the morning and wouldn't look at anyone. And we once got stuck in an elevator and I was talking to him, and like every time after that, he was like shaking my hand and he said, "No." He's like, "Oh, do you want to go for a coffee?" And I only said no because I had no time. But like, literally, I had done nothing special to him other than in an elevator. "How's your day? What are you up to?" And I was joking around with him. "Oh, what time do you start? Can't wait to clock off." And he said, "Nah."
Yeah,
I reckon you should have made the time to go for that coffee run.
I should have, but
You
like,
probably would've
I
shouted
I would have got
Right?
sacked.
Yeah.
Would have got sacked.
Yeah, because everyone just walks past people like that.
Yeah.
You know, if you see someone wearing a suit, you give them a nod, whatever. You shake their hand, like you said. And someone's cleaning and they got that whole, like, you know, the big trolley and whatever, and they're walking with it. You just walk past. Like,
I actually don't like people in suits. I think everyone's a snob. Who's
Me too. I can't.
I'm not thinking about myself.
I don't deal with many people with suits,
So,
but
yeah, same.
You're the one wearing the suit.
That's true.
Do you wear the? Do you
No,
wear
I
the
don't wear
Nah,
suit. I
it's
wear
okay,
button
button
up,
up,
button up,
suit and
and
tie and
like.
stuff.
No, I don't wear tie either.
Yeah.
But button up. I just wear a button up shirt. But for me, what's more applicable is like, waiters and waitresses at work. Some
Calling him
people like,
boss.
yes, calling him boss. That's a funny story. I was with a mate at the time, and I said thanks, boss, to the waiter.
I said, bro, his memory's so bad.
I
I said thanks,
Same
boss.
story.
I said thanks, boss. I was with him by
Call him
myself.
now.
I was with him by
Call him
myself.
now.
I was with
How
him
do,
Call the
how do you
waiter.
know that I know the person?
because I know that.
I narrate the story.
Yeah,
I
let
was-
someone get to the point.
Anyways,
Call him up.
multiple. Obviously, this has happened in multiple scenarios. Once when I was with him by myself. Many times when we were the three of us were together.
Many times.
Okay, and I said he's also said it as well. Apparently, thanks, boss, to the waiter. What restaurant was it?
There was 4 people there.
What restaurant? What area?
Oh, I say. I know how to decide this. What was the color of the seat?
No, bro. It's China Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah.
We walked outside, me, you, Said, and Yusuf. And we said,
Yeah, I like get to the point of the
Anyways,
story.
anyways.
So now
So
he's going to say something about one of them.
he dropped the name, not me.
no.
But we said
just to prove that I know.
we
him.
said thanks, boss. Okay, and this guy's like, "Why are you saying thanks, boss?" To him, he's doing his job. Like, he's serving you. You're paying for. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, they're serving you, and like that's their job. You don't need to like elevate them. Thanks, boss. They're not your boss. I'm like, bro, it's just a nice way of treating courtesy. You know what? Like, all right, tell him thanks. You grub. Watch him. he's gonna
Right.
spit in your food.
That took a dramatic turn for the
And now, like, what? You're gonna tell him? What are you gonna do? He's gonna spit in your food. He's doing
So
his.
see, he's only saying being nice. He doesn't spit in
No,
his food.
bro. Like, what good is there in treating someone bad
No,
like
of
that?
course, yeah.
Treat him nicely, bro. He's doing his job. He's trying to make a living. Maybe he doesn't work a high end job like you do, and
Just make people happy. I think
Make
it
people
is.
happy, man.
Again, it comes down to what you said at the beginning. Treat people the way the first one. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Like imagine you were working in that position, and
Yeah.
then you just walk out. You give the food. And like how many times? Honestly, how many times do you like when you're driving and you let someone go through and they don't either like
Put
they
the
don't
hand up. Oh.
and you're just like, "What, are you serious?"
Oh.
I feel like I generally,
But it'd be raining.
I generally go into the next. I generally go
I'll-
into the
my-
next thing,
my-
and I overtake and I
car's-
take my spot back.
Mazin, my car's old, bro. I'm still rolling the
Me
windows
too,
down.
bro. I
bro.
get the same ones.
I roll it down because it's raining. Rain, hail, or shine, but my hand's going out.
I got this new one. I turn the hazards on for 3 seconds and I turn it back off.
Yeah,
You're not a
that's-
truck driver, bro. That's only truckies do that because
Yeah,
you can't see them putting hand.
But
at
my
the window.
hand is gonna break.
You're not quick enough, bro.
Yeah, anyway, so like honestly, like you just wanna once you do that, I end up I switch back lanes and I take my spot back. I'm like, you didn't earn it.
Yeah, when you switch lanes, huh?
Yeah.
Nah, on this topic as well, like we're repeating the same thing, but like,
But it's applicable across
my
the
wife
board.
was saying like in Lebanon and Syria, they don't really have slaves, but they have servants. Like they do pay them money, but people that clean the house and stuff like that.
Consider
for
it
them.
like a maid.
Yeah, and she's like what happened was with a distant family member, they never invited her to have dinner with them. So like everyone would be eating in one room and she'd be eating in a separate room as if thing. And I like thinking about them, like that's like so bad. Like you're basically calling them
Nothing.
not really, not part of the family. I understand that part, but like, not human. Like, how hard would it be just to put them on a seat? You've been like the whole family knew them. That's how long they've been in the family for like 20 years, cleaning and being a maid. They might as well be family. You are family.
I just remembered when you said that. I remembered a story, right? And subhanallah, it shows like the result of this shows you how common it is amongst a lot of people, right? I went on a holiday once with my whole family. Okay, and we booked like a tour to take us to just around the whole city, and then at the end of the night, part of it was a dinner, right? So you get there, and everyone, it's like the whole company has the tours going on, so it's not just one. And you get there and you go, you have dinner, but the guy stays, like the guy that's driving, he stays. He drops you at the place and he stays in the car,
Sits in the car. Yeah.
right? And we got down, and my dad sees because he ordered this thing, and it's like a buffet. He has no idea because in Australian money it was really cheap. It was like a standard dinner. And then we get there and the food just doesn't stop coming, right? And the whole table's filled, and there's only 4 of us in my family, and all of us eat like very minimal. And we're looking at it and we're like, what on earth is this? So my dad's like, go to the bloke in the car and tell him to come down and eat. The bloke just looked at me and he was like, no, I don't want. Like he was a bit shocked. And so my dad went and he called him and he was like, no, come, you're gonna eat with us. Right? The bloke comes and he sits, and no word of a lie, the bloke was
Did he destroy the food?
No, he didn't. First of all, he was very he sat and he didn't eat much, but he was shocked. When you can see in their face.
Yeah, like what the hell's going on? How is someone
The
sitting
whole
so
night,
nice?
the whole night he was being like extra nice after that. It's as if it's never, and it probably hasn't ever happened to him. Right? And it shows you that people take it for granted. How many people every day? This guy probably takes multiple tours a day, right? Or probably like one a day, but it doesn't matter. Like every single day he's doing that, and people don't appreciate the guy. The way he's dressed and the way they carry themselves is because they probably don't have that wealth. And when they see that, people don't really appreciate what they have and give it to other people because they're less than you,
Yeah, it's
SubhanAllah, they all
No,
tie in
it's
all of
like
these
an
topics.
upset,
It is because it goes back to the core principle that we mentioned at the start. You treat others how you'd want to be treated, or you treat them how they
Yeah.
would want to be treated, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's the core principle across
for
the
me,
board.
it's more thinking about like what's in their shoes. For example, like the poor guys that are in a hotel, like somewhere overseas and aren't earning much, giving them a tip, like because they're not working, they're not earning much, or they've got family somewhere in another country that they're trying to send money to. Giving them the extra $5 or whatever it is will make their day. Because that's like they're literally another whole day's wage, or just being nice to them, or doing what or whatever it is. Or you get those angry people that, let's say one thing's wrong in a hotel and they blame the guy that cleans, and they're going to kick him out and make him lose his job over like
they're
one
so
small
quick
thing.
to make an issue over.
And it's like, all right, you're okay, I understand as an issue, but you're making this guy lose his job and his career. Like, have some mercy. For me, it's more about putting myself in the other person's shoes and thinking what could happen to them, because we often think about us like, oh, the room's not clean, or this or that, or whatever it is, and
We're very complaint orientated, right?
Yeah,
we're always looking for any reason to complain about something instead of.
it's so upsetting. Wallah, when you go overseas,
It is
just
wallah,
think
it is.
about the guys cleaning a room just like that. It's like one of the guys cleaned the room when we went on our honeymoon, and he gave us like this note on his card, and he's like, oh, please leave a good review on their website, I don't know, TripAdvisor or what it is, and please leave my name. And after I saw him outside and I was speaking to him, I'm like, I knew why leave his name, because he's straight away going to get a pay rise or whatever it is. He's going to be recognized in the hotel. He did something good. So I did that for him, you know, and like I did it in front of his face, like, oh, please make sure you do it. And I did it in front of his face and I was like so happy, over the moon. And turns out he's telling me like he's got his family in Bangladesh and he hasn't seen him in like 6 years, you know. And he's got his daughter.
That's
whatever
very
it is.
common, man.
That's what I'm saying. It's very, very common. All the cleaners overseas are all Bangladesh or subcontinental, and their families overseas. Haram. Breaks your heart.
Allah musta'an, bro. We're blessed. We're truly blessed, bro. Freaking hell. It's a shame we're not think, huh? We're not grateful enough.
Yeah. On a more like lighter mood, I didn't know the what's it called, the common gesture with giving people tips, right? And I was in Turkey, and
because we don't have it here.
not about giving the tip. I didn't know, like, you understand in a second,
The way of giving the tip.
So I left my hotel room and I didn't know I had spare change. It was like, but it wasn't change. It was like $30-40. And instead, like, I need to carry it around with me. So I left it on my bedside table. I didn't know that if you want to give the person
leave it there.
that's cleaning like a tip.
So he thought someone stole.
I came back and I found it's gone. And my mum's like to me, "Where'd you put it?" I go on the bedside table. She goes, "Well, it's gone now." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "That's their tip. That's it. That's the rizq."
SubhanAllah, wow.
I was like,
He's one
fire out.
He's one of the like, you're a baller. You gave him a $40 tip. He's like, these guys are straight baller.
Imagine left the bad review on TripAdvisor.
Someone took my money.
Someone stole my money.
The next review was, "Where's the safe?"
Oh my god!
Yeah,
But it's crazy, like you were saying. Like for us, it's like it's a small gesture,
Yeah.
but to the other person, it's like it's
100%,
massive.
yeah.
I remember I was on holiday with my family recently. Just went up to Nelson's Bay, and then the barbecue, the gas. It was like a horrible weekend, not in the sense that it was raining. Like weather-wise, it was raining, so we just stayed indoors, had a barbecue. I went downstairs to the servo to get a new gas tank. And then, like, it's empty. I was just speaking to the guy, and he's telling me, "Oh, what are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, having a barbecue, whatever." He's like, "Oh, mate, it was a Samoan guy." He's like, "Oh, brother, I haven't had a barbecue in ages." He goes, he used to live in like Parramatta or something, and like, you know how like the HSP culture and stuff is massive here
HSP.
up there, like the snack packs and the kebabs and stuff and the barbecues.
You're so hip, bro.
Yeah, the culture is like massive here, right? But for them over there, no one really does it. It's all like white people food, like seafood and stuff like that. Yeah.
Mm.
It's like, I haven't had a barbecue in ages. Oh, it's gone on for a while. And then I went upstairs.
I was like, "Femna, bro.
I
I
was
just want
like,
my
"Far out,
gas."
man, if you want barbecue, just ask. Anyways, went upstairs. We did the barbecue. The first batch we sent down to him straight away.
The first batch?
Like the
You're a champion. Everyone sends the last batch.
No, we sent because I was like to him, "Oh, what time are you leaving today?" He goes, 4 p.m. It was like 3 o'clock. I was like, "Oh, God, I better start this barbecue ASAP." Started the barbecue, first batch, sent it straight down to him. Bro, this guy was over the moon. Oh, but he even said, he goes, "Assalamu alaikum." And I'm like, "What the?"
You got it there, this guy's giving you
I
shout.
didn't know it was that easy. They told me that was a bit hard. I was like, "Fine." There's one skewer. No.
And that's how Nelson's Bay became Muslim. All
like,
of Nelson's Bay.
yeah, like they're pretty
And
cultured
then
in
you get
that
the
sense.
reporters there the next day and they're full covering the story.
Helicopters over.
A lot of the Samoan guys are cultured in that sense.
Yeah,
like they
I
know, you know.
understand,
So he's like, "Oh, assalamu alaikum. Thank you, brother." He's over the moon. He calls his mates that were inside. "Oh, he's there,
Hey,
right?"
boys, he's got the family.
Keep the barbie going.
Well, like, hey, it's one click and 400 of them rock up.
They'll come out, eh? But mate, they was a rap. It just goes to show you, like, a small act, it means like can mean the world to someone else.
Yeah. Dude, and that could ultimately lead to him. Obviously, he knows you're Muslim. He said, "Assalamu alaikum." That could
Open his heart. more.
open his heart, right? Soften his heart towards Islam, and down the line, you know, may Allah guide him to the straight path, and then his progeny and all that. SubhanAllah, you never know. Wallah, you never know. That's why it's important to, with not just Muslims but non-Muslims as well, to be like that. Treat them very well. But
The thing was the point to take was to treat human beings as human beings and not according to their appearance, wealth, or position.
he's taking your job, Mazen.
Which
He's
is-
taking your job. That's
Right,
it.
I gave it
Well, he's
to
got
myself.
2.0, so it's alright. The next one was a bit of a difficult one for me with adversaries. I don't not difficult one for me, but
It wasn't as straightforward as
yeah,
the others.
like let me ask you the question: like, to what extent do you show kindness to? I guess when I read I took adversaries as like enemies of Islam. That's the way I read it. To what extent do you show kindness? Do you make du'a for them? Like a dictator, for instance.
I think the first sentence some answers your question.
What's
The Prophet would treat all disbelievers fairly.
fairly, sure. Fairly is one thing,
Well,
right?
that's why he said
But
to
someone
what
who-
extent. Like,
Someone's like a dictator who's oppressing Muslims and whatever it may be, or someone who's, I don't know, like
I think it's a bit of a different story in that sense. I think what's more applicable
like
to
do
us.
do you for instance, you know, laugh them and hope that they don't ever find Islam, or that they. I don't know. Am I going down a rabbit hole?
I think there's an easier way to look at it.
I'm
Not
going
e-
down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, not
Imagine.
an easier way to look at it, but a more applicable way to look at it in the sense that, because we live in a Western country, a lot of us, all of us, work with non-Muslims, bump into non-Muslims on a daily basis. So I think it could be taken more so in the sense that how we treat those people. That's how I
I didn't.
took it.
I didn't say like that because I don't generally consider them adversaries.
You're too pissed off and the time
Nah,
you're
but
reading
like an adversary is
He's not
someone who you hate and so on and so forth. I don't necessarily hate someone just because they're
Yeah.
non-Muslim. I hate that they're non-Muslim, but I don't hate them because they're non-Muslim. That's I don't know.
you hate the action, not the person.
Yeah, I understand other people adversary as someone like you generally hate that person. Be it unfortunately that may be the case. Sometimes people hate other Muslims, which happens even though it shouldn't.
Yeah.
But how do you deal with them? What extent do you show kindness to someone you really dislike? I don't know. What did you do?
Abdul's going to drop a good line here.
I think Adnan's on edge.
I'm empty.
No, I'm waiting.
Adnan looks like he's about to say something.
No, I'm.
I think it is a bit of a. I don't know. I wouldn't. To be honest, probably not the best to comment on it. But Adnan's going to be like, oh, it's Mazen.
I've highlighted these kinds of people, and you'll capture their hearts by practicing the best ethics. The Prophet ﷺ compelled them to take his side.
I guess like my point earlier isn't so much towards adversaries. Like it's more so if we're talking about a non-Muslim versus a Muslim, right? Then I see it in that sense, in the way that the way you go about your day to day and your actions, especially because Muslims these days were in the spotlight. So how you go about your day to day actions and what you do is always going to be watched by non-Muslims, for example, or from other people. I guess that the best, like they say, the best form of dawah is in your actions. That's the way I thought about it. I didn't really think about it how you said with dictators.
But again, you're being a bit specific.
Am I?
Like,
Maybe.
like
I don't
for
know. That's what
example,
I
it's
thought.
like,
Maybe it's a
maybe.
rabbit hole.
like it's like, would you make dua for them? Would you whatever? But we know the things not to do, right? You know what I mean? Like the obvious ones is not to treat them, like Adnan said, unfairly or negatively. Your goal isn't to harm them as such, because the Prophet ﷺ would not have done that. Or in some cases, right? If we take the example that I think I gave last week, maybe the week before, was the people of Ta'if, right? When like they stoned the Prophet ﷺ. Like if we're gonna go to which extent, I don't know. Like we're not gonna go to the depths of it, but that's one of the actions. Let's say
They physically harm.
they physically harmed the Prophet ﷺ,
Oh.
and he was given the opportunity to destroy them all, and he chose not to. But there was an underlying reason for that. You know what I mean? Like the reason was, you never know that one of them may become a Muslim. But it was an entire city. I don't know if it, like I don't want to give a fatwa on that sense, but from what you were saying, would you make dua for them
For guidance.
for guidance? Personally, I would, right? Because if someone ends up being guided, like this is, I've gone through this thought process before. If someone ends up guided, who is an oppressor, they will no longer oppress, right? Supposedly, you'd hope. But
Adnan, you're smiling.
No, I like what he's saying as well. Like for example,
like you put an end to the oppression one way or another. Either they die through your dua, so to speak, or they find hidayah. And I feel like in that, I try to take the more positive approach, because in doing that, you never know that this person who, for example, had so much power in negative, if they were to apply that to the positive, if they ended up seeing the light, coming to the din, they could then apply that same, like Wallahu Alam, the way they got to that position was through interpersonal skills, through maybe through corruption, but that's another thing. But they have ways of getting there. They could potentially use that for khair. Wallahu Alam.
Yeah.
There's a story here, and I probably have a point to mention. It's simply put, there was a neighbor who kind of got was subscribed to a newspaper or something like that, went on holiday, And his Muslim neighbor collected them for him so they don't lose or whatever it is, get the thing, and basically returned the newspapers or whatever he was subscribed to, the articles, to the neighbor when he came back from his trip, and saying, like, the neighbor's asking, oh, why'd you do that? And his answer was, our religion commands us to look after our neighbors, and since you are my neighbor, it's my duty to look after you. Now, what I drew from that is often, how do you say it? We have a lot of good scenarios that happen in our day-to-day life with non-Muslims, but for me, one factor is I never say, this is what my religion preaches. You know, they'd be like, for example, this guy last time left his key in his car door.
You don't say that?
I don't. I never say Islam tells me to, and I think it's bad. I should say my religion teaches me that. It might give something different, or like might open up their eyes. Like once this guy left at the station, he left his key in his car door. Literally, I was driving, and I literally stopped my car because I got not OCD, but I pick up small details. I'm like, this guy's keys in his car. Like someone just needs to open a car and drive off. So I put a post-it note on his car, took the car home, and I'm like, when you're done, call me, and I'll drop off the key to you. And I just dropped it off, and I was busy, so I had to jet. And he messaged me so nice. He's like, oh, come down to my factory, I'll give you a present and this and that. And I never said anything. I'm like, no, I was just being nice. You know, I'm like, no, it's all right. You know, I don't want anything from you. And I should have just said like, oh, Islam teaches us to do that, you know, because I could have taken this car, no one would have ever known. I would have made a couple grand, you know. But I think, yeah, the factor in my head was mentioning that Islam teaches you to do something good when you do something good.
It's like an easy opportunity to give dawah.
Easy opportunity to give dawah. Instead of just saying, okay, like in that instance, you can just look good yourself. Yeah, I'm a good mate, you know, I'm a good person. I did this for you, whatever it is.
But there's no benefit in that. Like, you don't, it stops
nothing happens,
there,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But there's a potential that it can go further.
I mean, I was praying at uni once, outside of the uni, next to my car, and then someone was walking past, and then I think he just stopped and he started saying some, if you want to call them racist remarks. So all I did, I guess, was just continue praying, and then after a couple of seconds, that person just walked off. Like, I guess the lesson to take from that is that, you know, when someone is, it doesn't happen to us often. I think as Muslim males, like, I mean, you can get away with it a bit more than like a female, because, you know, our sisters wear hijabs, so they might encounter that a bit more. But for us, whenever that encounter happens, I guess taking the high road will often result in them, you know, no longer continuing what they're doing. So whenever you argue with someone of that intellect, you know, that lack of intellect, if you want to say that, then it's just a back and forth. You're fueling the fire a bit. But because I was praying anyway, and I was continuing, within a couple of seconds, that person was gone. Like, it's like sometimes they're trying to instigate something, and if you give them a reason to continue lighting up that fire, then it ends up on a bad road, I guess.
No, yeah, that's true. You're not giving them anything to any fuel.
Yeah, I think this is a difficult one, man. Just because the way that the way that society, the way that society, I guess, is now, is although there is a lot of racism out there and everything, not every single day you're experiencing someone blowing up at you for being Muslim.
It'd be good to get, because it's on Facebook Live, see what other people's input is.
Yeah, maybe some other people have had more experiences than us.
We want to learn as well. Like, we're reading this book so we can learn, and we're discussing so we can learn. If someone has a good input about
I think
any
you
of
just
these
interpreted
chapters,
the chapter wrong. Like, because the thing is with your opponents. So like a lot of the points he's bringing up is like, how many disbelievers reject Islam because people oppress them if they work for them, cheat if they buy from them, and harm them if they're in their neighborhood. You know, a lot of it is more like just to do with our actions and stuff like that.
But a lot of the dawah we do is with like young Muslim males.
Yeah.
So you don't experience that type of conflict with adversaries, if you want to say that. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit different because we're dealing with like young Muslim men. That's a lot of the dawah that we do. It's a bit different to, you know, having an encounter with a Jewish person, a Christian person, on that type of.
What's the sum up point on this one?
Amazing. The best callers to Islam are the ones who call to Islam through their actions and deeds before their words.
Version 1.0 was the best preacher is the one who preaches with his actions before his words.
I like 1.0 more.
It's a bit simpler.
Final chapter, huh? What is it?
With animals.
Take us home, Adnan.
Take us home. What?
Or to the zoo.
My car's two-seater.
The long stretch.
Is it?
The home stretch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I did it on purpose. I stopped driving people back and forth.
أحسن لك.
He got rid of the 3 back seats just to drop people off.
Say a fool gets the chainsaw.
No, I think it was just not a blunt topic, but blunt,
Straightforward.
Yeah, just saying the Prophet
Straightforward.
was caring and what was it? Compassionate.
We all know the stories or hadith, wallahu alam, of the lady, the immoral lady who enters Jannah due to her treatment of the dog, right? By feeding it water, I think even before herself,
Yeah.
right? Getting water from the well in her shoe and giving it to the dog. And that action itself, that small action, is enters her into Jannah, even though she was immoral lady, a zani of sort of prostitute, wallahu alam, and something like that, because of how she treated that dog, she enters Jannah. On the flip side, the other lady who
punished the cat or tortured the cat.
tortured a cat, right? Or like caged it and didn't feed or something like that. And I don't know how she was as a person, if she was an abida or whatever it may be, but ultimately her treatment of that cat results in her demise. So even anything that has a soul, even if it's plants, right? Any living thing, you show it rahmah and you treat it with kindness. It's an ibadah.
You guys are probably gonna say, "Oh, we know," but like honestly, animals have a personality. Like even there's a dog in basically, what they call it, what's the word called? What's that thing that always no. You know, like when you watch sport and they have like someone
mascot.
Yeah, they call it like a thing mascot. So there's like a guy has a dog, brings a dog in every day, and his dog you'll see is attracted to some people that pat it and feed it, and other people won't even give face, like just walk straight past. You know, and he knows, like he comes up to one of these guys and the guy like pats it for like 20 minutes, and his like dog's like so happy and he's like giving it his ears, like moving his head, my bad of sure.
That's the spot.
Yeah, and it's like fun. Like dogs have have characters and stuff like that, or animals have characters themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
I've always wanted a pet, like, you know, or like, you know, you see those little cute cats and whatever, but this is actually one of the reasons why I actually don't.
The hair.
Right, because no, not even that. Like even for example, you see all
The
those
allergies.
cute little cats or whatever, and you're like, oh, I want one of those, and then like I had a fish when I was younger, and it died, right? But and that was it. But
Down the toilet bowl.
yeah, but you know, you think it's easy to look after or whatever. Even now, like when I try and, you know, make my room look good or whatever in the house, I get fake plants because I know that I can't. Like I know that.
Come on, bro. You just gotta like water once every couple of days.
You just gotta water it. All right, bro.
Water and sunlight. What else?
What do you mean? Just put it on your I thought you were better than that, Mason.
No, man. I just figured that it exists. I just walk past it, right? You know, so until it starts going, but then it's too late.
What does it do? What's the noise? What is the noise?
I can't really do it. It just comes in the moment.
Well, I think what this chapter does for me is it puts everything into perspective. Because like we know, humans are the best of creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right?
Or the worst, depending on how they act.
Yeah. So it puts it in perspective because, you know, animals. If you're comparing an animal to a human, it's not the same comparison, right? Human generally above an animal, right?
Yeah.
But if the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed exceptional treatment to even the animals, what excuse does that give you to treat anybody else differently?
He had his beloved camel that he loved, and he treated like, you know, very, very well.
Yep.
Qaisara, I think. Anyone know? No, not sure. But yeah, he had his beloved camel, and that boy Abu Umair had the bird. And treatment of animals is key. Like it's like, for instance, if we have leftover food sometimes, right?
Is
If we have
his
leftover
camel
food,
called Al-Adba?
Wallah, I'm not too
Is that
sure.
what it is?
If we have leftover food sometimes, like, don't let it go to waste. We actually put it in water so it softens it up, and then we'll actually feed it to the birds in the backyard, because we have these birds that always come, these like budgies and stuff like that, and they come for that reason. It's nice treatment to a bird, and food doesn't go to waste, and so on and so forth. Stuff like that. You don't know. Sorry.
What that opened my mind was, like, I was at a man'oosh shop and this guy like burnt the side of the food. So he's like to the guy, "Listen, I'll give you a new man'oosh, but just on your way out, give this burnt piece on a man'oosh, like throw it in the park next door because it's better. Like give it to the animals." And I was like, wow.
For sure. Like I even think of it sometimes, like the ants will benefit from it, or
everything.
I'll throw a seed or like a peel for a banana. I'll throw it near a tree. I'm like, it'll decompose and be nutrients for the tree, rather than just throwing it any random place. or you know, it will decompose. If you have that, if you try and have that mindset, then inshallah you get reward from even that. But I think we've gone a bit overboard.
Finish it, Mazen.
Overtime.
Yeah.
But the version 1.0 is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored man, but this does not give him an excuse to oppress the rest of his creatures. And I think just hearing that, it reminds me of the story of Sulaiman alayhi salam. And we have so many examples, like you said in the hadith, but where even the smallest animals, an ant, you know, you don't want to what's it called,
Crush.
Crush or harm something that you think doesn't even, like, who on a daily just thinks, oh, you know, this animal that I walk over every single day has a soul, has, you know, is actually speaking to other animals.
It's got its own life.
It's got its own life, and you just came and.
And is actually honored. It's even mentioned in the Quran. Like, it's actually an honored animal.
But we don't think of that stuff.
Yes,
and like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like you said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored man, but this doesn't give him an excuse to oppress the rest of his creatures.
Alhamdulillah, man. That was a long one, huh? Fair few chapters we read this
yeah.
session. What's next, Adnan?
Next month is the next 3 chapters. Is basically 100 ways to capture people's hearts is the first chapter to read. Second one is check your intention, and the third chapter is using the right bait.
Those are juicy.
So those
use the right what?
Bait.
Using the right bait.
Always use prawns.
Yeah.
You're gonna catch some good trevally with prawns.
Let's see. I don't need anything else.
But I think that wraps it up.
Hada Allahu alam. Inshallah, we'll see you guys in a month's time. Make sure you guys do your readings, and you guys have any last comments?
Jazakallah khairan.
See you soon.
Assalamu alaikum.